Hey, Decathlon Gamer, welcome back to Out of the Park Baseball 25. This is episode number 6. We begin right off the bat with another waiver wire player that we have claimed, our 6th now, all within the last handful of weeks. And ultimately, it's helping make us a slightly better team. It's also giving us more fuel for trades. It's helping because all of these additions, okay, we traded away a few guys for salary space for these additions, but we have with Florial, the latest, we have 3 out, 6 in. So we've added 3 players that are fringe major league level guys, and we've taken guys that weren't really major league level and been able to bump them down to AAA in that trade-off. That, of course, is helping strengthen our minor league system a little bit more, and it's definitely not as weak as it was. But of late, early in the season, we were able to find a few moves. We were able to find a few teams that were willing to deal 7 prospects, bad prospects, for one prospect in return. And that trade-off helped us thin things out. But it's been a long time since a team's been willing to deal with us in those regards. And so it's been much harder of late to find that sort of deal. So there's going to be a lot of just, we're going to have to cut ties with a number of really, really bad prospects. So in the short term, I have our 19 worst prospects, the ones that are 1 star or worse at our 3 lowest levels, before I just get rid of them. I've gone ahead and requested that my scouts get us some reports back on them. We don't know much about a lot of these players. Even in our own organization right now, we lack information on most of the players we have. So it's time to get to know that group, and if they truly are as bad as they appear to be, with phase 1 behind us, we need to just eliminate them. Early June update on All-Star voting, and we are now out of it completely. Miller was the only one on the list. He was 4th on the starting pitchers list, but he has since dropped away, so it looks like we will not likely be represented in the All-Star game this year. At 27-40, we're not exactly having a good year here. It's still better than what the team has done the last couple of years, 370, 309, and then recovering. So they were 60 on 102 a couple of years back. They were 50 and 112 last season. So for this year, we're already at 27 wins. We're more than halfway to what they had all of last year. We're definitely not yet at the halfway point of the season. In fact, still a good ways to go. With some scouting, there was a couple players that turned out to be ever so slightly better prospects than what we saw them as. They might have trade value where other guys did not. Getting rid of at least the worst, the half-star only potential guys, the guys that aren't going anywhere. They're not doing us any good. We have too many players as it is. It's hard for players to develop when they can only get a couple at bats in an entire week or an inning a week. There's just too many players around. So we're going to start, even though we only have 30 here at our International Rookie League, there's 7 guys here that are in that half-star category. So we're going to go ahead and get rid of all of them. Catchers are supposed to have good trade value, but not when they're just too bad. So there's 4 more coming out from this group. Draft is still almost a month away. We still have a few weeks until the draft, but just making sure that our task is done, that we are prepared fully for it. Clearing all filters, showing all players the highest potential player. I mean, there's really only a few that are coming in as surefire bets. We have the 4th pick in the draft. After having the worst record last year, I'm not sure how that one happened. Unless there is a draft lottery that's happening now. But we do have a very high report on all of the 2.5-star players. And then what we went for was we went and targeted all those 2-star guys as well to make sure we knew everyone. And that's going to give us a very wide range of targets. We're down to high, but those are 1.5 stars. So we have very good reports on everybody. 2-star and above. 32 and 48. We've now played 80 games. We're just about halfway, almost halfway here with the season. And we have a review of our goals that were set for the year. The team's performance is underwhelming. They told us not to totally suck. We're not doing a fantastic job. We could be doing worse. And we're definitely doing better than the last couple of years. Upgraded position. Performance so far, Zach Geloff has turned our weakness at second base into a strength. No one would call him top 6 at the position, but he's outperformed expectations. We're doing good there. Find a top prospect. Ask you to find us a top 20 prospect. We still have time to complete the task. Clark does not fit that. He's barely inside the top 100. Build the farm for a team in a rebuild. This is one of the worst farm systems in the league. How do you expect to get back to a winning record with a prospect pool like we have now? Totally 100% agree. We have started that process, but it is a long process, so we've got a long ways to go. Improve fan interest. Fan engagement is lagging. Need more effort on your part to turn things around, though it's better than it was. In fact, Clark's doing even better than before. He's up to 75th on the list now here at the mid-season point. That's enough to have us ranked 26th. Seems a lot of the good things that are happening for us are the guys we've picked up off the waiver wire. So our record hasn't changed much. It's been pretty stable with their additions. But it's clear that those players seem to be doing a little bit more than the players that we've replaced. So we really are a little more stable than before. But we have a player development update. I've gotten a lot of scouting done. I'm starting to scout internally quite a bit here so we can start making decisions on roster situation, expiring contracts. But we have a big player development update. Alex Wood, increase in stamina, but decrease in velocity. Mason Miller looking good, 25. Current and potential movement, now a 60. And he's a 3.5 star. Our first 3.5 star player. He was already our best one. He was the player who was on the edge of All-Stars. Adrian Martinez also improving. Reliever. Geloff. Also significant improvement for Geloff. So we have 32 players in all with expiring contracts this year. There's a couple that are just 1.5 star potential, and either I'm going to trade them or something. Let them go, something along those lines. But a lot of these guys are just minor league players anyway, so we're going to go ahead and I've now done some scouting on most of them. I'm getting a little more scouting on the few that are a little behind, but we've got a group of young players that are 2-star or better prospects. We're going to go ahead and offer each of them a minor league extension. That's 9 players right there. Let's start to dwindle this list down, but it's also almost time for the draft. According to a national scouting system, the top prospect is Tommy White, coming out of college, half-star with 3 potential, lots of power potential. Johnson is just a 2.5 star guy coming out of high school. Connor Griffin, that's the one I'm hoping is available. We're talking about a 4.5 star potential player coming out of high school. I will happily wait for him to develop if he is that good. Honeycutt looks like probably the second best prospect, at least in my eyes. Good power, but also other areas a little more complete game. You would figure one of those 4 is going to be the one landing on our doorstep, as Weatherholt or Gray or Kurtz are kind of the next ones, and they're all a little bit lower down. 4th pick, we'll have to wait and see what happens in those first 3 rounds. One thing we're going to have to watch out for and be careful of is the fact that we do not have a huge allocation when it comes to money and this draft. So we're going to have to be careful with those first 2 picks in particular. After the first round, it gets a lot easier. The first round is where you're going to spend the bulk of the money you have, but we want to get a large number of good prospects, but we want to get one really good prospect if possible. Oh, we don't have a set budget. It's just projected. that we're going to be spending 8.9 million in draft projection. Yeah. Oh no, it is our draft budget. Our draft budget's 8.9 million. Griffin's a hard sign, and it looks like it's going to take 12 million to sign him, which is already above our budget. So Connor Griffin could be the reason why he's dropping down the order a little bit. But Griffin goes first overall. From here, we're looking really only at a not high potential player that we would want to stay away from, but otherwise, it seems pretty clear that any of the other picks are possibilities for us. Really liking this Garrett Scholl, who's got good potential, but would be a much cheaper signing. Scholl's still available, and whoever Cincinnati took, was that Cincinnati? Anyway, whoever that last one was, didn't take away from these top five. Colorado, the third pick, does take away from the top five. Honeycutt still available, but it's our pick. And we have a choice really between four players. And Caglianone and Scholl are the ones that seem to have the best overall right now, but Honeycutt's got the best potential. Let's get a look at each of these four players before we make our selection, as this is the most important pick of all. Contact potential is only a 45 for Honeycutt, 21 years of age already, coming out of University of North Carolina. So UNC product. Ball in play is 50 potential. Gap power is a 55 potential. Overall power is a 65. So this is a guy who's going to not hit well for average, but he's going to hit a lot of home runs, which is something our team totally lacks. And at 21 years of age, you would think he'd be ready in a couple of seasons. Good eye, also with a 60, so he'll pick out the right pitches. When he hits it, he'll hit it a long ways. He's got good speed. He's got to get a decent number of steals as well, so when he's not hitting the ball a long ways, he can advance himself on the base path. He can be very good at any outfield position. And he's in his junior year of college. But what I worry about is the $8 million bonus demand, which is all but $1 million of our budget for that, for the entire draft. Does say though that we could push a little bit further with budget room. We have $10 million. By the way, it's not like 50 billion rounds anymore or 25 rounds anymore. It's 20 rounds. Caglianone is first baseman, also 21, coming out of Florida. Also a junior. Similar contact expectations. Better power, not a good eye. Not good pace. $2 million less, but definitely not the same prospect. I think you'd rather take Honeycutt over Caglianone. And at $8 million, Tommy White, I don't even think that's a viable option. You're not going to take a player that's worse for the same money. So the reality is we're down to Honeycutt, kind of going all in on one big prospect, or Garrett Scholl, the one who is going for the least. High contact numbers and good power numbers. High contact and good power. Okay, left field, right field only, and not great in the outfield. We're talking about a DH kind of guy. And coming out of high school, you don't know for sure that he's actually going to get there, but the scouting accuracy is very high. And the OSA is only average. They don't think he's going to be quite as good. But we're talking about signability is certainly possible, and we can get the 1.8. I think this is somebody we can actually sign and still have money left to make all of the other moves. Honeycutt, I like the power, but Scholl offers us quite a bit, contact and power. It's going to be pretty solid. So Garrett Scholl it is. As we jump forward to the second round, we're looking at a lot of 2.5-star prospects. Let me see what we have in terms of overall current ability. There are some players that can play, players coming out of probably college for the most part, and all relievers, yeah. So let's not worry about that. Let's worry about getting the best potential we can find. We definitely don't want to deal with these guys with the high demand. I don't have any one single specific position that I'm after at this point. I'm really after just getting prospects. We have nothing on our team that is a guy that's going to be there in 10 years or 8 years and be our leader. So we're literally looking for all or any. A good catcher seems like a pretty dang good option for us. Let's see if Jacob Friend, high power. I like that part. It's something that this team completely lacks. Not a good catcher, though. He's a left fielder, right fielder. So, no, maybe not. I'm amazed that by the second round, we're really hurting on choices already. Two guys that I'm kind of looking at. One is this one, Logie, high school shortstop. His fielding ratings, like the defensive ratings themselves, are good but not great. Position ratings aren't great. 3 positions in the infield is what he's kind of trending towards. The base running's okay. The pace isn't terrible, but it's nothing fantastic. He's going to have really good contact and not strike out much. And have a decent eye and can put the ball in play, but do it with very little power. Number 2 kind of hitter in a lineup who would be okay as a shortstop. I mean, you could see this guy developed being decent. You could see him having a pretty good on-base percentage with that contact and avoid K's rate. Bonus demand's 1.7 million, or my second option. Nothing translates well defensively, pace, and 40s definitely doesn't look good, but it's a 75 power. Just crushing balls for fun and strike it out the rest of the time, right? I think that's what you're going to get. You're going to get 60 homers and 80 RBI because there was 20 guys on base. But 80 RBI and 60 homers can really help a team. Can really help a team, especially a team that's lacking power completely. How far down the road and how well do we change that by that point? Can he actually play first base? No range, but he's not going to make too many errors. Like, I don't know. I don't know about this guy. But only 300,000 for the bonus demand. We're going to go ahead and take our chances on taking the cheaper option. Third round still has a number of options for us. The other guy we were targeting is gone now, so Jacob Friend, who is a poor man's catcher. Otherwise, I would take him now. I guess we're going to get version 2 of this and Traz Snyder, 19-year-old right fielder, committed to TCU, 800,000. Right, left, or first base, decent defensively, high power, but yeah, same sort of thing. A lot more gap power, a little bit better eye. Almost a better player in many respects. Okay, a lot of the 2.5-star guys did not get signed here. And Jacob Friend, our poor man's catcher, let's go ahead and pick him up here in the 4th round. And now we're looking at 3 pitchers left. Signability. Demand is similar for all 3, and we still have money to spend as we haven't pushed too far with that. We've got 3.5 million committed so far is all. We're going to go for Cooper Williams. Fairly balanced starting prospect, high school. And the last one is Messina. This is now going to dip down into the 2.5 star territory after this. So that finishes the 5th round for us. From the 6th round on, we should be able to go the rest of the way with 2-star potential players. And probably avoid any extra demands. So it's going to be pretty easy pickings from there. I'll start filling out where we have holes from this point on. As a team that had the worst record, we are first pick after that first round, so it looks like there is some sort of lottery system now that wasn't in place previously. I don't know how many years they've been doing that now, but it definitely hasn't been there for long. We are really short center fielders and second baseman just bit, so we're going to kind of focus on adding some of those. We have 14 catchers in the organization, 21 shortstops, so we definitely don't need any there. 88 relievers, 40 starting pitchers. So 128 out of 232. It's definitely more than half. I've gotten to the end of the draft. What I ended up doing was batters for the first 11 that I took. I did not focus on pitchers for this draft at all. We have an abundance of them. We have quality of that compared to others. And free agency is a pretty easy way, or waiver wire is a pretty easy way to pick up some additional talent there. Obviously not the best players, not the ace pitchers, but we didn't have any ace pitchers available to us in the first round that we could sign, and they were gone after the first round this time. So with that, we had what our focus was. After those first 11, I took, I think, 3 starters in the next 3 rounds, and then I took relievers all the way through the rest of the way, and I did not have to draft a single player with less than 2-star potential. And all but one of the relievers that I drafted were already 2-star current coming out of college. So they're the more here ready now to contribute or trade bait type player to try to build and return something else for us. I think we did a pretty good job with this one, and I think we're at about 5 million, maybe 6 on what we had for total bonuses, meeting the demands of all of them. So pretty good chance of signing everybody, hopefully. And then saving a few million to put towards future use. I didn't realize this. We ended up with a second round pick. So we did have a draft compensation pick from before, and Strauss Snyder is the one we picked up with that. And then just a few picks later, we end up back around for the beginning of the 3rd round for Jacob Friend. And you can see at least our first 6 picks across 5 rounds. So we actually ended up taking 21 players in all, and we did have 2 starters. Okay, so it was actually 9 outfield players, 5 starters, and then 6 relievers that we ended up taking in the draft. We can already see how rapidly our numbers have grown once again following the draft, as 15 players all instantly join our rookie league. So just as we conclude that first phase of player elimination, traded as many of them as possible, got a handful of prospects out of that. It was a lot of extra work, but it's not something I'll be doing every season. Now we have a little bit better prospects coming along, and a little bit less of that garbage. So the second phase is going to be to start flipping these minor ones for better, especially now that we just had our first draft and we are right back where we were with a farm system that's too deep. So we're going to have to start making eliminations, either by letting them go like we did. We let go a good 12 to 15 players that were just really not good and we couldn't trade, didn't have enough value. But now we've got a lot of 1.5 star, 1 star kind of prospects that just aren't going to cut it. That's all the time that I have for this episode. We're hanging right at that 400 win percentage, 38 and 57 right now. We are half a game ahead of Detroit, so we are not last in the American League for the first time in a while. Baltimore, who we were close to, have played better of late, though actually just 3-7 in their last 10. But as bad as we are, 4-6 last 10, 400, which is 4-6. We're pretty consistent about that, and it's not that uncommon to see teams go 3-7 or 2-8 for extended stretches. So the Rockies, for example, are 288. They are winning just 3 out of 10 and are 10 games behind us. So as bad as things are, could be a lot worse. The Marlins, half game behind in the win column, but also half game better in the loss column. So it's percentage points between us for now. Third worst record, but definitely not the worst team out there, right? Offense was 29th or 30th in everything before we went into the waiver wire market. Still not good, but runs is now 27th instead of 29th. Our average is 29th instead of 30th, and home runs is 26th instead of tied for 29th. Defense hasn't changed much. We've added in one reliever. We sent a single reliever down to AAA through a waiver wire move, and he wasn't a massive upgrade either. So that has stayed about the same. ERA 23rd, Ks 25th, defensive efficiency at 25th. For as bad as the team is, that's about expected, and we've made incremental small progress. I do think we've found a lot of prospects, with every one of them being 2 stars or better. Those 20 are definitely going to be better than the 20 that they're replacing. So it's a step in the right direction on that part. But there was no wow me guy that we brought in. We got a couple, 2 or 3, though, that look like they could be pretty dang good and might be our best prospects, or at least amongst our, I'd say 3 guys are going to be amongst our 5 best prospects immediately. So that's good. That's good. So much still to do, but we're halfway through our first season. We're through the first phase of the rebuild, and it's time to begin phase number 2. But that's going to do it for this episode. I'm Decathlon Gamer. Like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Have a good one. Be safe out there. Bye for now.